Tyreek Hill is one of the best deep threats in all of football. How he stems his routes to create open looks for his quarterback makes him one of the best in the entire game. Also, since he's incredible in open space, he can truly create some big plays. The thing about Hill is that he's more than just a deep threat. He's more than a guy that runs post, corners, and fades. His ability to create separation from all alignments and against all coverages is really what sets him apart. In 2020, Hill lined up in the slot in over half of his snaps. In that alignment, he created 1.7 yards per route run. That's good for 16th out of the 49 receivers that have more than 150 snaps in this alignment. Meanwhile, he's even more dominant when he's split out wide. He created 2.7 yards per route run. Needless to say, it's his well-rounded ability that allows him to create plays from both these positions. For Hill's game against Buffalo, I went through and actually hand-tracked all of his routes. Check out the breakdown of how he was used in this game. As you can see, the vast majority of his routes were on the shorter side. He ran a bunch of spot routes to sit in between zones, he ran a good number of slant and under routes to try to create open windows underneath, and he was used on a number of shovel passes purely as a misdirection option against this defense. His biggest play came on a slant route where he gained 71 of his 172 yards. Let's look at that play closely. After lining up in shotgun, the Chiefs motioned Darrell Williams from outside back into the backfield. They then ran a run-pass option. The front side and the offensive line are blocking for outside zone, while the backside is running a double slant flat combination. Hill is the slot receiver on your screen. Before the snap, what we saw from the motion was a linebacker trailing from outside back to the inside of the defense. This motion is a pretty clear tell that the Bills were in man coverage. Really, anytime you see a linebacker split out wide against a running back, this is almost always the case. The Bills were in cover one plug on this one. They matched up their defenders one-on-one across the board, while they had a single high safety deep and a linebacker sitting over the middle of the defense. Now there are two things I want you to pay attention to after the snap. You have an inside linebacker that jumps on the fake to the running back. That's the first thing, and the second thing I want you to pay close attention to is the great release by Hill on his slant. It's pretty incredible. There's no wasted footwork, he uses his speed to get vertical, and then he breaks across once the ball is coming in his direction. This is what allows him to create instant separation. After that, it's just Hill doing what he does best. He slips around, he avoids getting tackled multiple times, and he somehow gets down the field to gain 71 yards on the play. Outside of this big play, the Chiefs mainly lined up Hill in the slot and had him attack the defense within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. As I broke down his route tree earlier, a good percentage of what he did in this game were hitches and other routes that had him somewhere between 7 and 10 yards. This is very common in Andy Reid's offense. One of my favorite plays of his came at the end of the first quarter. This was a hitch that happened at the 14-yard line. After lining up in shotgun, Mahomes sent Travis Kelce on a short motion from the outside to lining up in a nasty split inside of Hill. The Chiefs ran a two-high beating concept at the bottom featuring a corner and a drag. Meanwhile, at the top, they ran a three-level read from Mahomes. Kelce ran a post through the Bills' cover 4 defense, Hill ran a hitch aiming to sit in between zones, while the running back ran into the flat as a check down. I want you to pay close attention to how the defense covered Travis Kelce. In their cover 4 defense, they ran pattern match principles, so the middle hook linebacker flipped his hips to protect against the seam. Also, since the 2D defenders on the right wanted to protect for a potential shot at the end zone, this created a big hole in this defense. Hill saw this, and he sat down underneath before working his way back towards the quarterback. To me, this play does two major things. The first is that it gives Mahomes a quick read of the defense after checking the safeties. The second thing it does is that it pairs Kelce and Hill together on the same side, which is a matchup nightmare for pretty much every single defense. Typically, since Hill goes deep while Kelce sits underneath, this was a nice flip of that common usage. Plus, knowing that defenses love cover 4 in the high red zone, which is defined between the 10 and 20 yard line, this play was a really good call. Now, the crazy thing about this game is that Hill could have had even more yards. He dropped a pass in the first quarter that easily could have gained 30. Watch his release closely. Look how quickly he got vertical in his stem, how his footwork allowed him to get up to speed, and how he snapped his route to stack his defender to find space for this throw. On this one, he just unfortunately couldn't bring it in. Now, drops really haven't been a big problem for Hill throughout his career. He has roughly an average drop rate. However, I wanted to bring this one up mainly because of context. If he caught this pass, he easily could have had more than 200 yards in this game. As I went through his film, I felt like I really only saw one big missed opportunity. This happened in the first quarter. Hill ran a deep crossing route and he was wide open in the middle of the defense. The Bills were playing cover 3 and Hill was able to find space between zones. Now, Mahomes was under pressure, so you obviously can't blame him, but this was another opportunity where Hill could have made a big play. This is potentially a touchdown. This would have only further cemented just how good of a game that Hill really had. Regardless, this game was an absolute slaughter. Hill consistently defeated the Bills' man and zone coverages with good route running. His releases were quick, creating the two-way go off the line of scrimmage, and his ability to find space against zone defenses is really what sets him apart. He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL not just because of his speed. It's his route running that really makes him special. Now, before we end this video, the question you may be asking yourself is, will Hill be able to do this again in the Super Bowl? Will he dominate the Bucs defense exactly like did here? For me, I went back through his Week 12 game, and that actually told a very similar story. In that one, Hill and the Chiefs faced the Bucs, and Hill was targeted 15 times in that one. He caught 13 of them, and he gained a whopping 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. That game was an absolute domination. I saw Hill torch Carlton Davis a bunch of times, I saw him beat zone coverage with good awareness, and generally speaking, he was unstoppable in this one. In my opinion, unless the Bucs send double coverage to bracket his routes, I think we could see another total destruction just like we saw here. Well, that's all I have for you. Next week, we'll be looking at the Seahawks' new offensive coordinator, Shane Caldron, and what that means for their offense. If I have time, and I unfortunately picked the absolute worst time to move, I hope to do some sort of Super Bowl related video. Maybe my strategy and how I think the Bucs defense should stop the Chiefs offense. I'm not 100% sure at the moment, so please leave me a comment below and let me know what you want to see. Thanks for watching this video, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and as always, you can follow me on Twitter at SamuelRGold.